Oh, I don't know where people are at, but something that helped me when I was learning more about Palestine a few years ago was reading about the everyday mechanisms of control the Palestinians deal with, from roads to water to ID cards. Thought I'd share. Some people are more equal than others. 6.6 million Jewish Israelis, Jewish citizens of Israel, 12.7 million Palestinians, Palestinian citizens of Israel, barred by committees from living in 68% of towns in Israel, of course. East Jerusalem Palestinians, 0.3 million. Israel may revoke residency if living outside of Jerusalem. West Bank Palestinians, barred by Israel from all but 38% of West Bank. Gaza Strip Palestinians, 1.9 million, barred by Israel from living outside of Gaza since 2007. That's why I always laugh when people are like, why don't they just leave? I don't know, man. I don't know why they don't leave. The 2 million people living in the world's largest open air prison, like, why don't they just fucking leave? Like, think about we talk about spawn points and like bad spawn points here, right? And we talk about empathy towards like migrants, you know, economic migrants, refugees that are trying to come into the United States to find a better future for themselves, and like how fucking cruel conservatives are and the way that they shit on them. But like, think about this shit, dude. Talk about a fucking spawn point, brother. You literally have nothing, dude. Bombs are flying up over your head. There is no way out. You're fucking stuck. You don't have clean water. Like, you have shoddy electricity. Like, what the fuck are you going to do? What is Gaza? This. You see this? Right here on the map? That's Gaza. That's the Gaza Strip. And surrounded by all parts by the Israeli occupying force. And also, there's water on the other side, but that side is also not connected. There's a sea blockade. There's a water blockade too. 6.4 million exiled Palestinians barred by Israel from returning to their homelands since 1948. Israel controls the land, air, and sea. Today, Israeli authorities maintain a single regime of control over the borders, airspace, population registry, and economic activity of the territories of Israel, the West Bank, and Gaza. Israel controls all Palestinian airspace and telecommunications. 90% of historic Palestine under exclusive Israeli control. Israel controls all Palestinian natural resources. The 10% of limited Palestinian control also exists in the occupied West Bank and Gaza Strip, but doesn't matter because Israel controls all Palestinian border crossings. Yeah, there's a blockade that stops shipments. For you were asking, like, where's Gaza? This is where Gaza is, and this is the occupied West Bank, okay? So let me explain to you why people say, like, this is an apartheid regime, this is a fucking genocidal regime. Well, because if you want to travel, if you want freedom of travel, well, you're not going to be able to do so easily if you happen to be in a spawn point where you're a Palestinian living in the West Bank, and definitely not if you're living in the Gaza Strip, obviously. They have a segregated road system. All the yellows are accessible only to Israelis. The reds are accessible to Israelis. And the white are accessible to Israelis except in Gaza. Okay? The yellows also happen to be not accessible to Palestinians. Reds are restricted access to Palestinians, and the whites are accessible to Palestinians completely. So Israelis can go everywhere they want, with the exception of like the Gaza Strip. I mean, they could go there. They do go there, but when they do, they go in tanks. Okay. Whereas in Israel, Israelis can go wherever the fuck they want. In the occupied West Bank, they can go wherever the fuck they want. Palestinians, on the other hand, who have marked cars, will not be able to travel as freely as they would want to, with the exception of these roads. Now, the way that this territory is divided is also deliberate. The way that this territory in the West Bank is divided is not an accident. It literally goes through different ghettos and shuts off access through time on different areas where Palestinians used to live, so that they are cut off from one another, so that limited fruit movement is completely completely restricted. Okay? You have the different kinds of roads, land expropriated by Israel on either side of the major roads. underpass roads between Palestinian enclaves, which access often is restricted by gates. Hold on, I'm just gonna open this in a new tab so we can zoom into it. So you have underpasses. You have checkpoints along on all of the red roads. You have checkpoints along the adjacent and all the restricted roads. Okay. You have fully segregated roads that run parallel to one another, so Israelis and Palestinians can drive. But they'll be able to see side by side, but they'll be able to see one another side by side, but they're driving on separate roads. This infographic is blood libel. My man said, "You're being sarcastic, right?" Oh, he is being sarcastic. You fucking idiot. Motherfucker. Call Ben short. This fucking idiot. Okay. Then you have roadblocks, trenches to prevent access to main roads and travel between Palestinian enclaves. And you have Israeli-only bridges and tunnels connecting Israeli settlements east of the separation wall. So Israelis can freely move around in occupied territory, and the Palestinians cannot in their own fucking land. So tell me once again. Oh, they also have a colored license plate system. If you have the yellow license plate, then you can go everywhere pretty much, with the exception of the small part in Gaza. If you have the green license plate, which is the Palestinian license plate, well, you can't really go everywhere. You have some significant restrictions and limitations with your green license plate. Okay? Just think about how that would fuck you up. Like, you're just born into this planet and you have no home. Everyone tells you you're technically supposed to have a home, but you kind of don't. And in your own home, like, someone else can come and just take it from your family and just be like, "This is mine now." Fuck off. Not enough water in the West Bank. Ramallah has more annual rainfall than London. It goes into the West Bank mountain aquifer, and Israel. Okay, I didn't even know this. This is fucking crazy. Okay. So Ramallah has a West Bank mountain aquifer, apparently, where Israel takes 80% of the water from the mountain aquifer each year and appropriates the water resources because they control all the water resources. I know that, like, they don't allow like clean water into. I live in Ramallah. They control our natural water resources. Dude, there's motherfuckers who are still like, where do Jewish people, because no one wanted them after World War II? First of all, that's literally a falsehood. Like, there is one fucking country that has historically been very open-minded to Jewish people. You're going to hate me for saying this, but it's literally the Ottoman Empire. Look it up. Okay? Always welcomed Jewish people with open arms. That's true. Straight up. Look it up, motherfucker. I'm not even kidding. And secondly, it doesn't even matter. I'm not even saying that, like, Jewish people don't deserve a homeland. I'm saying that, like, this is unacceptable. Okay? Like, that's great. No, get a fucking homeland. That's fine. Just don't do it on the backs of Palestinian bloodshed and genocide and ethnic cleansing, where you control their fucking water supply and you control and restrict their movement. Like, that's crazy. Okay? Like, there is no justification for this. You can't just go around and be like, listen, like, I mean, that argument is so, that argument literally reduces to, sorry, we were victims of the Holocaust, so now we get to do our very own genocide. Like, that's insane. That is an insane argument, dude. Anyway. Okay. There's a controlled supply where Israeli authorities enforce annual quotas on the amount of water available to Palestinians. There's an obstruction of development. No new Palestinian wells approved by Israeli authorities in the most productive Western aquifer since 1967. 70 liters a day per Palestinian in West Bank is the water supply or amount of water is that consumed or limitations. 300 liters a day per Israeli, including settlers. There's a destruction of infrastructure. In 2011, Israeli military demolished 89 water-related structures, including 21 wells and 34 water cisterns essential for agriculture and herding. The World Health Organization recommends 100 liters per day per person. Yeah. It's pretty fucked up, dude. When I was leaving Israel for work, one of the many questions you're asked before you can leave is, what's the origin of your last name and if you support Palestine? Yeah. The International Criminal Court has said that they are looking at what's going on in Israel, specifically around Sheikh Jarrah, like the Al Aqsa mosques and the forcible displacement of the Palestinian people in the occupied territories. So they've said that they're taking a close look at it, but the radicalization came with Mohammed Amin al-Husseini, and on the other side with Leichi. This is in no way comparable to any of the other nations. I am from Germany. We didn't get fucked by our neighbors to be held in check. What? Did a German motherfucker unironically just say Germany wasn't fucked by their neighbors to get held in check?